Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and replace these with some of the Super Slinkies here. These are the Ernie Ball Super Slinkies, and these are 9, 11, 16, 24, 32, and 42 here. So, some people recommend you put all of the strings through the tailpiece and then put the tailpiece on and hang it off. They say that lessens your odds of scratching it, putting the strings through with it on there. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, and even if I did, you could probably just put a piece of tape across here. Reason being is sometimes maybe you don't want to have all of the strings hanging out of here at one time. Maybe you just want to do one at a time, you know, for whatever reason. So I think what I'm going to do is just stick them in here one at a time. So that's where we're going to get started. So I'm going to pause this real quick and I will be right back. Okay, so let's take this 42 and run it through here. Of course, the big trick to the strings is just making sure you got them locked onto the tuning peg and get those turned the right direction. It's one of those things, if you've done it a lot in your life, it's not a big deal, or if you do it all the time, not a big deal. If you do it once in a while, kind of got to pay attention. I'm not sure which category I fall under. A little bit of both. Okay. And that's why you got to be careful so you don't scratch. So while this video is originally, just replacing the strings on this, since I decided to turn it into its own video, I figured I better throw in some pictures and a little bit video of closer up on the headstock here and winding of these things and tying them off. So that's what we're going to do right now. Let's just get some close-ups of it. And again, hopefully you can see, you want your coils to wind down, because as your coils go down, it's that way it's pulling the string down. If you were to wind it up, then it would be kind of trying to lift the string up. So you want to wind the coil down, and like I said, you can, as long as there's some slack in this thing here, a little bit of slack, because you'll pretty much be pulling on it. You know, once you get this thing locked in here, you're going to kind of be pulling on this thing here, or putting some kind of pressure on it. You know, you'll be putting some tension on it to hold it, to keep it locked on there. There are some ways of tying it on there where you kind of don't have to do that as much, but as long as this thing has some slack and it's a little bit loose, you can kind of, if you get a coil that's kind of riding up on another one, you can give it a little bit of slack, kind of pop it down, so it's going the right direction. So you can do a little bit of adjusting on that. And it's a lot more important, you want them all to be proper on all the strings, but it's especially important on these three strings here because they got the winding on the outside. So if these things get doubled up or start running over the top of each other and doing stuff like that, you're going to end up with a lot more tuning instability issues because there's just a lot more here to flex and squish and move around, you know what I mean, as opposed to these wires here that aren't wrapped with anything. So pay extra special attention on all of them, but extra special attention on these ones here to make sure that they're properly wound. Especially on something like this. You got something that's got like a Floyd Rose on it or something, it's really not such a big deal because those things just get completely clamped off with the nut. But you got something like this that's got a regular nut like that and nothing clamping those strings down. You got to make sure you wind them on there right. So I've got another guitar I'm going to do a close-up on some of the tuners on tying off the strings and wrapping them around the post. So if you see a guitar that looks a little bit different with a different headstock, that's what's going on. So, all right. Hope the video is helpful. Stick with me. We got a shot of the coils going down. You got your top one, the second one, and then the third one under that. That's how you want them to look. You can kind of see how those are wound on there all nice, how they're going down. And of course all of the strings, the pull or the route is to the inside of the headstock, meaning none of the strings go on the outside. That way they're all you know, on the inside of the tuning peg and going over the nut. As you can see, this one's inside, they're all inside. And just make sure when you start getting tension on your string to make sure and place your strings in the little string saddles here. Sometimes you'll get done tightening the string and you'll look and the string will be down over here off to the side, and that happens, they fall off of there. Just make sure before you start putting your final tightening turns on there that they're... So one little tip and trick for doing this that I highly recommend if you can is to save your old strings. Because what you can do is, I just took all mine off and I just kind of taped them up towards the bottom end here so they don't fly all over the place. But these ends here, because I got these ends hanging off here, I can just trim them off, and these will allow me to practice, you know, if you need to practice or you want to make sure you know which way you're winding it on there. These will allow you to practice locking them into your tuning pegs, and it'll practice, you can practice your doing your coils and your wraps and all that stuff. So you can do a lot of practicing with a set of strings, an old set of strings. And if you think about it, if you don't have an old set of strings, you know, maybe get a couple of packages of really cheap ones or something, because it's kind of nice to have. And also, it's, you know, they kind of make a good there's actually a lot of other things you can do with guitar strings too. The little wires on them are really good sometimes for cleaning out the passages and really small things like maybe carburetors or other things. So there's a lot of things you can do with these guitar strings as well if you're kind of crafty that way. But anyways, just thought I'd throw that in there. Keep your old guitar strings for practice on how to wrap up there, and that way you will be a pro by the time you move to your brand new set of strings. Okay, so we're going to try this string here, and it's the smallest one. The biggest thing I would say about doing these ones over here on this side versus these over here, because the strings are smoother and they don't have the outside wrap to help lock them to the post and sort of lock it to each other as it's winding around there. The biggest thing with these is you just need to wrap it around there another time or two, you know, before you start kind of holding it taut and do your winding. That's really the only thing. If you just put like one wrap on there or two, or sometimes it'll just kind of slip off. So like I said, you just want to put a couple more on there. So we're just gonna. Oh, and the other thing too is we gotta look at this, which way we're turning. Wind this one counterclockwise, and the string winder will actually be winding it clockwise when we turn it. You gotta sit and think about it sometimes for a minute, and that's okay. Like I said, this one here, we would have been winding the string around it clockwise, and the tuning peg is turning itself counterclockwise. This one's the opposite. We're going to want to be wrapping the string around it counterclockwise, and when we turn the tuning peg, it's going to be turning clockwise. Okay, so we're just going to take, like I said, the biggest thing with doing these smaller strings is you just want to put a couple more wraps on them, you know, before you let off and start holding them and doing this here, because they're just a little more likely to slip off of there because the string's smaller, it's slicker. It doesn't have that wrap on the outside to kind of lock itself to the post and itself as it wraps itself around. So what we're going to do is we're just going to stick this through our hole here like that. And these here, it really doesn't hurt to kink it a little bit if you want to off to the start there. Just go that way. Bend this one that way a little bit. and then this one, because we're turning it, like I said, counterclockwise. So you want to bend this one kind of counterclockwise and then start winding this one around counterclockwise. Now these, you really got to be watching what you do with your wrap, because the string's a lot smaller, so it's easier to get the wrap off or get the string wrapping around itself. It's not as critical on these, you know, because you don't have all that outer wrap, but still it's just best if you can try to maintain a single coil, you know, descent downwards. So like I said, I'm going to wrap this thing around a couple more times here. I think those larger strings, I maybe wrapped them around there 2 or 3 times. This one here, I think I'm on my 3rd or 4th. And you can see it staying in there just fine now. So as long as you have enough of this sticking out there and you get a couple extra rounds on there, you're generally good to go. And now you can start moving your tuning peg. And there you go. And then, like I said, when you're done, you want to take your nice nippers here. And these are great for getting, you know, really nice and up close to that. So taking it through and kind of kinking it and wrapping it around. We actually stuck it so that it goes down through the center there, because that's how they had it. So it's a little easier to get these down through that center hole there when they're smaller. So yeah, like I said, just stick that down in there. You don't want to, you know, crank it way down in there, because you might end up getting into the gears or whatever, into these tuning keys here. You don't want to stuff it all the way down in there, but you know, 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 inch or so. And so now that you've got that in there, you can start doing your wrap. Again, this one we're going to wrap it counterclockwise, and the tuning peg will be turning it clockwise, itself clockwise. This is the opposite of this whole setup over there. Now these strings here, like I said before, you really need to make sure, because the string is so much finer, you really need to look and make sure you're getting your coils right. You know what I mean? It's really easy to get these kind of just running over the top of each other. So like I said, run this around here maybe another couple times more than what you did with these here before you kind of start holding it and getting ready to use these here. That way a little less likely these things will slip off of there. But that's pretty much the way you do that. Just stick it down through the hole, wrap it around there, and there's that way for your other E string there. So again, instead of having the string going through here like this, they actually kind of have this angled down and going down inside the hollow post there. And that works really well. It works. It keeps it anchored in there really well, and you just start your wrap that way and then go around it again that way, and there you go. You can see it stays anchored in there really well. It's just, you know, goes, like I said, down inside the hollow shaft here. Now, I have no idea which tuners and what tuners you can do this with that have a hollow shaft. That's just how these particular ones happen to be on this, you know, import knockoff guitar with these fake Grovers on. So there's that. Clip that end off there. I cut that end off and it fell on the floor, and just an FYI, you know, guitar strings, you know, they are these little pieces of wire, so you got cats, dogs, children, you know, or vacuum cleaners, you know, you kind of want to be careful with these things when you're trimming on them. You don't want to leave the strings or the trimmings laying around, because it's, like I said, you know, you're leaving a little piece of wire laying around. So all right, so we went over sticking this thing kind of down through the center like that and anchoring it in there. Now we're just going to do the old standby of just sticking it in there and basically doing what they call a Z-bend, which is whichever direction you're going to end up wrapping it around your tuning peg there, and you know that's which direction you would be wrapping the string, because remember, the way you wrap the string and the way the tuning peg turns are two different things, right? So whichever way you're going to wrap your string, that's the direction you want to bend your piece of wire coming out. So we're going to wrap this one clockwise. So we're going to bend this clockwise like that. Then we're going to go around it clockwise. So in doing that, we've bent this over this way, and now that we're going clockwise, we're bending this part of it over that way, and so it ends up with kind of a Z or an S. And so then you just bring it around like that. Make sure, like I say, to bring it underneath this here. There are some people that will go over the top of it and then come back around and go underneath it, but again, you can watch tons of videos on that and kind of determine how you want to do it. This is just the simplest way that I can think of to get it done, and so that's how I'm doing it. And so again, bringing it under this one here, bring it over there, and we'll bring another wrap under there. And there we go. Might not hurt to have like a little piece of plastic or something, you know, to kind of help push these things. I really don't know if I'd recommend a screwdriver unless you got really steady hands and all that. But anyway, so that's those two methods there. Okay, so apparently the cat wants to try his hand at stringing the guitar here. Okay, so this is going to be a demonstration of the Luthier's knot. A lot of people don't like the Luthier's knot because sometimes if it's really, really tight and it's been on there a long time, sometimes it can be kind of a pain in the butt to get off the tuning peg. And you know, if you got an old guitar or a nice guitar, you don't want to have to be trying to nip off, you know, a piece of wire, you know, with some wire cutters or needle nose pliers and getting it off, you know. So a lot of people think they're kind of a pain in the butt and sort of unnecessary. Personal preference, I say. I kind of just like the real basic, simple way of just basically sticking it in like this, and then just, you know, bending that way and bending this way, and then just wrapping it on there whichever way you need to go with it. But so the Luthier's knot, what you do is you put your wire in, and now remember, whichever side you're doing this on, you know, if you're on the other side, you're going to be kind of reversing your pulls and your twists and all that, right? But for doing it on this side here, you put it in there like that, you got your wire in there, and you bring your wire across like this. Alright. And you bring this wire underneath this one here, like that. Then you bring it up and over this wire, like this, and then around this tuning head the other way. So like that. So you bring it up and around, and then like that. Now you start turning your peg here, your winder. Should be able to let go of it now. And here it's coming around, and we're getting our first row right there. And you can see how this is kind of, you know, how it wraps around there. Put another couple turns on there, and of course when you're done, you just trim that off. Like I said, I don't have the bottom end of this string in anything, I'm just holding it, so I'm just for demonstration purposes. But anyways, there again, and you can see it's winding our coil down like it's supposed to, so no problems there. Then when we're done with it, just bend it over like that. Take our cutters, that's your Luthier's knot. Okay. Now we want the peg to go counterclockwise. So that's turning it. Alright, so we're going to turn the peg counterclockwise, and that's going to turn the shaft counterclockwise. And you want that counterclockwise because if you wrapped it around this way, you see it's not really, it's kind of wanting to pull the string that way. So you want to wrap it this way because that keeps the string going straighter where the slot in the nuts cut. So, and while I'm on the subject of placing the strings, it's a really good idea to go to Harbor Freight or whatever tool store and get yourself a set of small little wire cutters. These came with some pliers as well, but these kind of wire cutters are great for stuff like this. Alright, so we're going to thread this through here. This is why I don't like to have all the strings necessarily coming out of there at one time. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just, you know, a little personal preference with some of the string stuff. So I'm going to turn this one so it's going a little bit straighter to help me get this string through here. So what you're going to want to do, figure about 1.5 inches or so is probably about how much you're going to want to leave. So we're going to just go ahead and cut that. I'm actually going to leave a little bit more on there just for the hell of it. And these must be just absolute garbage. Okay. And that thing just went flying. That's why I don't like cutting the strings off. And so now we're going to take this thing here and just put a little bit of a bend in this. And we're going to start threading it around like this, and you want to stack the threads down because higher up means you're going to be pulling up on the string, and you want it to be pushing it, you know, down like that. So you want the coil to wind down. And I don't have a damn string winder, so this for these things, I guess they work okay. I don't know how necessary they are. This one must not be on the tree down here. It's off. I'll come down here and fix that. Alright, there we go. One more. 24. I know this is a long time, a long video. It takes, I know this, but I know. I don't know how to do it fast. I mean, I guess I could just speed everything up and not talk at all and just, you know, do the TV magic thing and be like, oh, here, I'm done, but I don't know. Where's our whole like doing that? Okay. Okay. I got it. I gotta fix this one real quick. It's off its saddle too. Okay, now for the nasty part, which is just they need to be stretched, and then we gotta adjust the bridge and all that fun stuff. So just gonna tune these up a little. Don't really have to worry about these bigger ones so much. You got to kind of be careful when you get down to these last couple down here. They can be a little cringy when you're stretching them. Don't really have to worry about this on guitars with like a floating trem, you know, they kind of cushion all that a little bit more. Okay. A little buzzy there, but I haven't touched the bridge down there, so. Let me, I gotta look and see what the measurements are here. I got a ruler here to see what the height on these things is supposed to be. Let me look at it here and see if it even looks like it's not super low. Not at all. That's not bad either. I mean, I don't know how hard you're supposed to be able to nail it and have a buzz, but you know. Alright, so we got done putting the strings on. I might just kind of turn that into a separate video because it's kind of long and lengthy, and it's kind of hard to speed it all up because I'm sort of talking and doing some commentary through it, which I probably shouldn't have done. I need to learn sometimes when I'm doing stuff to shut up so I can fast forward it, but sometimes if I talk a lot or there's useful information in there, then I let it play out. So as I said, I might just turn that into a separate stringing video, because if you want to watch me restring it, then you can go to that video. If you'd rather just not have to go through all that crap and you just kind of want to see what's going on with the guitar, then here you go. So done getting the strings on here. Don't hear any major buzzing. It sounds pretty good laying there on the case anyways. Guess that's not the wall strum test, but if you're wondering what the hell the wall strum test is, you will have to watch the 3 Chibsons series of videos. Sorry to have to make you go through all that to figure out what the hell the wall strum test is, but that's life sometimes. Alright, so action height for these is supposed to be 4/64 at the 12th fret on the E string there, and then 6/64 at the 12th fret on your top E string here. So when I put this thing back together, when I had these strings put on there, they were probably at about, this was probably at about 8/64. And so I dropped it down just a little bit. I just used this little stubby screwdriver here with this small little flathead bit in there. This works really well for these types of adjusters here. But, you know, just turned it a little bit. And now I'm sitting right about, I have to look at this with a flashlight here. It's hard to see. It's hard to see these numbers, especially when you start getting a little bit older and your eyesight starts It's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's like I said, so far just sitting there strumming it, it doesn't seem to be making any noise or anything. So, you know, your action may vary a little bit. There's, you know, how you're supposed to have it set, and then there's where it works best, and then personal preference. So, and like I said, I'm not going to worry about the intonation right now. I'm going to first I'm going to check it, but I'm going to let these strings stretch in real good and make sure we got everything going good up on the rest of it here before we mess with the intonation or check it. So.